After viewing this, you'll be asking not just what were they thinking, but where is it going? This picture shows the difference between the high tide water line and the sewage pit servicing Cottage 20. The row of leaves indicates the tide line, and the sign indicates the location of the sewage pit. Please note the yellow ruler in front of the sign on the right. The difference is 7 feet from the center of the sewage pit to the water line. Keep in mind that on Hen Island, the water table is 2 feet at this location, and the top of the sewage pit is 2 feet below the beach level. This means the sewage enters the water as soon as it enters the pit. This problem impacts us all. Raw sewage contains high numbers of bacteria that cause typhoid fever, dysentery, diarrhea, and cholera, and viruses that cause hepatitis. Studies have shown that from 10,000 to 100,000 infectious doses of hepatitis virus are emitted from each gram of feces of a patient with this disease. Some viruses will live as long as 41 days in water or sewage and for 6 days in a normal river. Covered only with large rocks in true caveman style, this sewage pit for Cottage 2 is located directly opposite the Greenhaven Homeowners Beach, a mere 600 feet away. Similar to the sewage pit in the previous photo, this pit is less than 10 feet from the high tide water line and also has a 2 feet water table. Please notice the large tree trunk horizontal at the rear of the sign. The tree trunk is placed in this location to keep the waterborne debris away from the rear of the cottage whenever the tide rises. It would seem this cottage owner is concerned about floating debris entering his property, but not about his sewage floating into the waters of the Long Island Sound. This is an above-ground sewage tank for Cottage 1. Made of cinder blocks, it has no bottom and the top is made of 2x8 wood planks. It is also very close to the high tide water line. As in the previous photo, here is yet another sewage pit essentially being flushed out by the water table. This picture was taken standing atop the above-ground tank to show its close proximity to the Greenhaven Association beach and dock. Less than 5 feet away, not viewable in this picture, is a small wall built to keep floatable debris away from the cottage. Too bad nothing's being done to keep the sewage away from the Sound. This is a short video of a percolation test. A perk test consists of a hole 6 to 12 inches in diameter dug in the area of the proposed septic system. The depth of this hole is generally not greater than 24 inches. In an attempt to saturate the soil, the hole is initially filled with water, called a pre-soak, allowed to drain away, and then refilled with approximately 12 inches of water. The rate at which the water drops in the hole is measured at intervals over a period of time ranging from 30 to 60 minutes. The uniform slowest rate of drop of the water level over a measured time interval is converted to minutes per inch and used as a basis of design in determining the septic system size. For example, if the water dropped uniformly 1/4 of an inch every 5 minutes, the rate would be 20 minutes per inch. The Health Code provides a simple table that determines the size of the system based on the measured perk rate and the number of bedrooms in the home. The greater the number of bedrooms and the slower the percolation rate, the larger the system required. This test, performed on Hen Island, was less than 15 feet from the sewage pit that services Cottage 2, and parallel to the shoreline less than 10 feet away. Within 2 minutes of the completion of digging the test hole at 24 inches, the water table rose 3 inches above the base or bottom of the test hole. In the video, you can actually see the water percolating in or bubbling instead of dissipating out. The failure of the test hole to drain the area as required proves that the water table is at a higher level than the pit servicing the cottage. In other words, the privy is cleaned out by the water table every time the system is used, and the tides come in and go out, each time spewing raw sewage directly into the Sound. This picture depicts Cottage 19's sewage pipe entering the ground. This cottage was completely rebuilt in 1993 after being demolished in a storm. The building permit was left open until 2006. In 1993, the owners were asked by the City of Rye to consider connecting to a state-of-the-art chemical or composting septic system, but they never installed one. The city noted in their decision that the Westchester County Department of Health, who has jurisdiction, had approved reconnection to the existing septic system. The cottage owner also signed city documents acknowledging the same. However, the health department has no record of that approval, and there is no septic system at that location, only a sewage pit dug in the ground with the water table approximately 2 feet below the ground surface. Voiceovers 17 and 18. Cottage 3. Cottage 3 on the north end of Hen Island. This cottage has no working sewage system. The previously used system was clogged years ago, and the owners have never replaced it. This same cottage has been allowed to remain unused, although by code it should have been removed or repaired. For years, the lead-based paint has been peeling off and entering the Long Island Sound after heavy rains. The doors and windows, too, are rotting and offer easy access to its unlit interior. In its current condition, this cottage is called an attractive nuisance, meaning that it is likely to draw in or attract people, most likely children. Look at the sewage pit servicing Cottage 11 on Hen Island's north end. Here you get an idea of what the inside of a Hen Island sewage pit looks like. Although this pit is not along the shoreline, the ones along the shoreline are similar. This sewage pit is covered by only a few sheets of plywood and is located less than 15 feet from 2 adjacent cottages. When viewed during an inspection in July of 2007, Westchester County Department of Health Deputy Commissioner Leonard Meyerson and his inspectors informed us, quote, "The plywood cover may be a violation of the Rye building codes, but it is definitely not a violation of the Department of Health," end quote. When questioned about the odors emitting from the pit, the County Health Department's response was, quote, "It is not emitting odors now," end quote. We explained that this was due to the fact that the residence is occupied mostly on the weekends. When asked for a re-inspection during the weekends, the county's response was, quote, "We do not work on the weekends," end quote. The City of Rye was no more helpful. This is an excerpt from the New York Times article of September 9, 2007, relaying the words of Rye City Manager Mr. Paul Shue. Quote, Mr. Shue said no violations were found when Rye's building inspector, along with county health and environment officials, inspected the island in July. End quote. Another glaring example of the county and the city trying to sweep the very serious sewage issues on Hen Island under the rug. This is Cottage 17 on the center section of Hen Island. Cottage 17 has been abandoned for more than 12 years. The open horse trough depicted on the upper rack functions as a 275-gallon water storage tank that will be discussed in a later slide. Here we're focusing on the sewage pit at the base of the wooden water rack. This photo is a blow-up of the base of the rack. Note the white exposed sewage pipe, not even below the ground, entering the pit just below where this cottage would normally store 2 open 275-gallon water tanks. The bacteria from the sewage pit could easily contaminate the domestic water in the tanks, which is used to shower, wash dishes, and perform other household chores. Here's a picture of what appears to be an abandoned sewage pipe under Cottage 22 on Hen Island's south end. We're not sure why this sewage pipe has been abandoned. Possibly part of the original pit for this cottage, the pipe may have been clogged from excessive use over the years. Instead of repairing and relocating it away from the shoreline and installing septic leach fields as required by code, this cottage owner simply may have found it easier to dig a new hole in the ground in the same location. This picture is one of the last remaining outhouses in use in Westchester County. It's located on Hen Island's south end. In 1989, Rye City records showed 11 outhouses in use on Hen Island. Today, this is the only one remaining. What happened to the 10 outhouses that were removed, and who approved the conversions to the toilets that replaced them? Neither the City of Rye nor the County of Westchester have any record of ever approving such systems on Hen Island. Try installing a new bathroom in your home somewhere else in Rye and see what the consequences will be. The City of Rye and the County of Westchester irresponsibly place people and the environment in harm's way. There seems to be no regard for the potential destruction possible every day these violations are allowed to continue. We encourage everyone to please join our mailing list, write a letter, spread the word, or donate your time to help heal the harbor starting today.